Hello, everybody. I'm Connie Joe with Soul Navigation. And today I want to talk about spiritual gifts because one of the questions that I'm asked the most as an astrologer are what are my spiritual gifts in my natal chart? And everybody has them. Every single natal chart is endowed with some sort of spiritual gifts, even if it's something as simple as the moon in a harmonious aspect to the sun. I think people take for granted how beautiful that is when your soul and your mind and your ego work together in a harmonious way. But I'm going to go through all 12 signs and list some gifts for every sign in the zodiac. But first, I want to go through some of the aspects that I think are bring spiritual gifts to the chart. So let's get started. Get out your natal charts, please. And the charts are the ones you love. And let's see what the spiritual gifts that you have. So, one of the first spiritual gifts I want to talk about is Mercury. That might surprise you. You know, Mercury is our thought processes, it's how we communicate things, it's how we take in information. But when Mercury is connected to one of the outer planets, it becomes a spiritual gift. So when we have Mercury with Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto, it turns it into something special because these outer planets are connected to the universe. They're connected to the collective. So any aspect that you have with Mercury and one of the outer planets can be a spiritual gift. Now, this includes the tough aspects. And for those of you that are don't know astrology so well yet, the conjunction, the two planets closest together, when they're close together in the sky, when you were born, that is the strongest. The trine and the sextile, those are very harmonious, but also the square and opposition, the ones that aren't harmonious. And I'm going to explain why. Okay, so if you have your Mercury with Uranus, this is when you get sudden messages, like your thoughts suddenly change. You might hear it, it just might come in as a thought, but Uranus is the planet of suddenly, is the planet of innovation, and it comes in and sometimes you may not even realize it's your thought, or you may think it's your thought, but it's a thought coming in from the universe. So if this works especially well with the conjunction, but with the opposition and the square, you may think the thought is coming from you and not coming from the universe. You may be able to read other people's thoughts, like you're talking with someone and suddenly you know exactly what they're thinking. It just comes into your mind and you know exactly what the other person is thinking. These are some of the ways that Uranus can work with Mercury. Also, if you have Uranus connected to Mercury, you may feel that you're a star seed or a Palladian, that you're not even from this planet. And I've talked to several people that feel that way, and it's very real to them. And I know that that's that connection of Uranus with Mercury in the chart. And this could also be true if you have a lot of Aquarius in your chart or you have a lot of 11th house planets. And also, last but not least, if you have Mercury connected to Uranus in your natal chart, you may be exceptional with astrology or you may have metaphysical gifts. So let's move on to our next planet with Mercury, which is Neptune. So Neptune works a little differently. It's like the thoughts might just flow in. You might just have sudden intuition. Neptune has no boundaries. So you might have thoughts that you're like, where did that come from? Because I would never think that. But all of the clairs can come into play when you have Neptune with Mercury. And that means clairaudience, claircognizance, but all of them can come into play. It's like your intuition and your imagination are enhanced when you have Mercury and Neptune together in any aspect. Now, when you do have the square or opposition, again, you may have doubts. Is this the universe or is this me? You may have, with opposition especially, you may kind of go back and forth about, am I really thinking this? Is this my thought? or is this from the universe? Is this a spiritual gift? So many actors actually have the Neptune Mercury connection. And so they bring their communication skills and their imagination and intuition to the roles they play to entertain us. So these thoughts with Neptune, they just seem to flow. It's kind of like water, that Neptunian way. And it's like there's with Uranus, it's suddenly. With Neptune, it's just like, all of a sudden you have this download from the universe. Okay, let's go on to Pluto because Pluto is very different. And when you have Pluto and Mercury together, you may actually hear, see, think, know messages from the other side, from loved ones that have passed on, from spirit guides, from angels. Pluto rules the eighth house in astrology, which is the house of death. And many times when we have Mercury connected to Pluto, we do have the gift of mediumship or hearing messages or thinking messages from the other side. Also, with Mercury Pluto, you may really be able to sense what other people are thinking. And you can also tell if someone is lying or gaslighting you. You just kind of have that talent. You just know. It's like when Pluto is connected to your thoughts, you kind of know with Pluto if someone is telling the truth or not, or if they're trying to pull something over on you. But mostly with Pluto, there is this connection through to the other side, being able to connect with spirits that have passed on. So stick around, everybody. I'm going to go through all of the signs and the gifts that each sign holds at the end. But right now, let's go to my next spiritual gift. I also want to add, while we're still talking about Mercury, I want to go back to that for just a moment, that when Mercury is conjunct, especially, but connected to the asteroid Pallas, you really have this intelligence. Pallas was the goddess of wisdom, and where she sits in your chart is where you have a special gift of wisdom. And when it's with Mercury, there is an exceptional intelligence that shows, depending on what house and sign it is, that's kind of how that intelligence comes out. But Mercury with Pallas is also a gift. So next we have 12th house planets. Now, 12th house planets can be somewhat of a curse, but they can definitely be a blessing, especially 12th house planets that include the outer planets. Those are probably the strongest. But sometimes our 12th house planets are harder to access because they sit behind the ascendant, which starts the first house. So they're kind of behind that, and it's harder for us to access those planets sometimes. So the 12th house is the house that's ruled by Neptune and Pisces. So there's, again, no boundaries with Neptune and Pisces. So when you have planets there, you may have very vivid dreams. You may astral travel. You may have many, many deja vu moments where you're positive that you've met someone before, or you're positive that you've been to this place before. And this could be because you remember past lives. And when we have planets that are close to the ascendant on the 12th house side, sometimes this can be indicative of what happened in the womb or what happened right before we were born. So sometimes we remember past lives when we have planets there. Sometimes, like let's say if Mars was there, you may have been a C-section baby. So it really depends on the planet that we have there, but knowing, remembering past lives, astral travel, vivid dreams, sensing things that are going on in the collective, or having dreams concerning the collective, or knowing things that are about to happen in the world. This is all very common when you have 12th house planets, and they are definitely a spiritual gift. So let's move on to the moon. I mean, the moon is intuitive on its own, but when it's connected to one of the outer planets, man, the spiritual gifts are increased. The intuition is increased. I mean, please go and watch my video of the moon through the houses, and you can see the different gifts that the moon has in each house. But when it's connected to the outer planets, that's when those gifts can really, really come into play because our moon is instinctive. It's it's different from Mercury. Mercury is our thought processes and how we communicate and how we receive information. But the moon is our that's our visceral instincts. And it's intuitive on its own. But let's see how the moon works with the outer planets. So the moon with Neptune, you may have the gift of empathy. You may indeed even be an empath. You probably have the gift of compassion, and you are able to feel the feelings and hurts of others. Sometimes even their physical pain when you have the moon with Neptune. So it's really important if you have this aspect to clear your energy field after one of these encounters, that if you have one with another person, to get your energy cleared again. So when you have the moon with Neptune, you may find it easier to meditate than most people. And when you meditate, you may receive visions, downloads. With Neptune, it's kind of like Mercury where the messages flow in, but you almost feel it in your body when it's moon and Neptune. And I do think that people that have Neptune strong in their chart find it easier to meditate and maybe access these gifts. So let's move on to the moon with Uranus. This one is really interesting. So with Uranus and the moon, you may have visions and premonitions of the future, information, just you feel it coming in at lightning speed, and you really don't know what to do with it because you feel it. You feel these things coming in, and sometimes you don't even know where it came from, but you can feel the messages. And when it reaches your brain, when it reaches that Mercury part of us, it's sometimes we don't even know how to process that information, but we just, with Uranus, you just know things. And you may know things about other people. But usually with Uranus, it's suddenly, it's like you just suddenly, instinctively know something about somebody else, or know something that's going to happen, or know something that happened in the past, or that may happen in the future. So I think the key word with Uranus and the moon is suddenly and very instinctive. I also think Uranus are those sudden downloads that we get that we don't even know where they came from, but it's that moon Uranus connection, and all of a sudden we have a download about a situation that we've been wondering about or wanting answers to. And that's how spirit comes in and gives us those downloads. So when you have the moon with Pluto, you can sense things immediately. Okay, so when the moon is with Pluto, you can almost smell danger and fear. This is an aspect that I really think people are spared from dangerous situations a lot of times because they just have that knowing that they shouldn't go here, or they shouldn't do this, or they shouldn't be with this person. Not only that, they can really read people well. They sense things about other people. And most definitely, kind of like with Mercury, but in a different way, you may feel messages coming in from the other side. You this is the placement that maybe when you were a child, you saw spirits or you heard spirits, and you may have even talked to spirits. And possibly an adult in your life told you, oh, you're seeing things, you're hearing things, but you probably weren't. If you have Pluto with the moon in aspect, you probably really were seeing spirits or hearing things from the other side. And I think this happens to a lot of us that have this aspect as children. And then we kind of leave that gift behind because at some point somebody told us, oh, that didn't really happen, but it did. So, all of you young parents out there, encourage your children when they tell you they see an angel or they see a grandparent that's passed on. Encourage them because that's a spiritual gift. So, the next gift might surprise you. This is planets in the fourth house. And planets that are especially close to the IC, the very bottom of the chart, they're even stronger. So planets in the fourth house can be ancestral. The fourth house holds our ancestry, and these planets, or whatever planets you have there, might show gifts that you've inherited in your ancestry. It's really interesting how it works because if the planet is Pluto, there could be dark family secrets that you were destined to uncover. Part of your gift is to uncover the secrets in your ancestry. And sometimes, if you feel like that it's something that, like an ancestral curse, something like that, you might be the one that ends that process in your family. You might be the one that ends addiction. Let's say it's Neptune, and maybe your ancestors were able to truly connect with the spirit realm, but maybe addiction's involved. Maybe you were the one to stop addiction in your family. I mean, this is a placement where we can take what we've inherited and extract the good out of it. But then, if there's something that needs to be stopped in our family line, if we need to be the one that actually stops sexual abuse or stops abuse, period, or, we can be that person that puts an end and breaks those chains, those ancestral chains, and makes a new beginning in our family history. So this, and also past karma may come up in the fourth house, and we may be the ones that break through that karma. But nevertheless, fourth house planets can be a gift from our ancestry. I mean, even Jupiter, think about that. So Jupiter might be something as simple as you've inherited your family home, or you've inherited your family's money if it's Venus there. And of course, Venus and Jupiter and other planets in the fourth house can mean many other things. You may be good at decorating in real estate, for instance. But as far as spiritual gifts, usually these are inherited, and there's a long ancestry of that gift in your family. So you be the one to break the chains if they need to be broken. Because truly, as we've seen with Pluto and the moon and Mercury, Pluto can be a gift, especially in the fourth house. So can Neptune, so can Uranus. But like with Uranus, possibly you have, maybe you're a star seed, and possibly that's your ancestry with Uranus in the fourth house. Anyway, just give that one some thought. So next we have planets in the eighth house. And when people find out that the eighth house rules death, they're very fearful when they find out that if they have planets there, that it brings fear to them. I've had many people tell me, does that mean I'm going to die? Does that mean, is that transit bringing death? Usually, no, it's nothing like that. But the eighth house does bring great spiritual gifts. Having outer planets in the eighth house, when you have the outer planets or the moon in the eighth house or Mercury, you may be able to channel spirits from the other side. You may have the gift of mediumship. You may be easily able to see behind the veil of death into the spirit world. The veil is thin for those that have planets in that eighth house. If you have Mars in the eighth house, you might have the gift of being a ghost hunter. Because Mars can be fearless in that eighth house, possibly that's your gift, is that you're able to go into other people's houses and clear out spirits that maybe need to find their home. Um, but because Mars has no fear of going into those unknown situations. With Mercury there, you could be a brilliant therapist. You could be into sexual therapy or sexual healing. And finally, with the eighth house planets, you can be a great investor or accountant. Okay, so the eighth house covers a lot, right? I mean, it's the house of shared assets and taxes too. So there can be plenty of talents with the eighth house. But spiritually, being able to connect with the other side is probably that house's greatest gift. So, if you want to find out more about your spiritual gifts, I would love to have a reading with you. We can look at everything in your natal chart and find out what your spiritual gifts are. You can connect with me by looking in the notes below or go to soulnavigation.com and go to readers. And I'm Connie Joe. Okay, so the last spiritual gift I want to talk about before I go through every zodiac sign, the last one is having the moon, doesn't matter what sign, on the angles. So this would be the rising sign or the ascendant, the descendant, the start of the seventh house cusp, the midheaven, where the 10th house begins, and the IC, where the fourth house begins. So having the moon on one of these angles can actually be a spiritual gift. So let me explain. So let's start with the ascendant. When you have the moon close to the ascendant in the first house, but especially within 10 degrees of the ascendant, you can feel everything. It's like as soon as you walk into a room or you're with someone, you can sense what they're feeling. You walk into a party and everybody there is happy and it changes your mood too. It's like you can be happy, but you walk in a place where there's tension or anxiety, you can feel it. And quite honestly, you can feel it in your body. It's like with the moon really close to the ascendant on that angle, you can actually feel the situations around you so easily. And yes, this is a gift because you know what's going on when you go somewhere immediately. You have a feeling for the place, for the room. Even when you go to the grocery store, this works. But sometimes it's difficult because when you actually do feel that anxiety when you walk into a situation that's laden with argumentative people or something like that. But it is also a gift as you really do know what's going on around you. And it's not a thought process, it's not Mercury driven. It's something that you just know, it's instinctive. You can instinctively feel the feelings going on around you when you have the moon close to the ascendant. So let's look at the opposite side, the descendant, the seventh house cusp. So this traditionally is the house of other people. When you have the moon there and you meet somebody, when you meet other people, you can pick up on whether you actually have an emotional connection to them or not. And it's like you feel it immediately and you know you emotionally connect to someone. And when you have the moon in the seventh, and or right there close to the descendant, that's when you know the people you want to keep in your life or who you're attracted to or who your friends are going to be. But you can also discern people that might be your open enemies. You know, it's like if you don't have that emotional connection with someone and you have that moon on the descendant, you won't have anything else to do with them, or it will be just an acquaintance. You won't develop a relationship with that person. And that's the gift of that moon on the descendant is being able to emotionally discern other people and the connection you have with them and whether you want to keep that connection. So when you have the moon on the midheaven, This is the highest point of our chart. The midheaven was the sign that was highest in the sky on the day that we were born, on the moment we were born. And when you have the moon there, you are extra sensitive, you are extra psychic, you have this extra sensory power. There's just this sensitivity that goes with having the moon on the midheaven or very close to it in the 10th house. You may have a powerful intuition when you have the moon here, and you may be very good with the public. This is a placement where public relations can be really good when you have that moon on the midheaven, or you can be an advocate or very good with females. You may really relate to the females in your world or in the public when you have your moon there. But it's a gift. It's the gift of being able to relate and understand the emotions of the public, of what's going on around you. Very different though from the ascendant and the descendant. So let's go to the IC. It's the Imam Coeli, if you want to know the technical name, but it's otherwise known as the IC. And it's at the very bottom of your chart. And this is the most private place in our chart. This is the place that people don't see, that we keep private just for us. When we have the moon on the IC, it's like we are able to go into our inner life in an easier way. It's like we are able to meditate easier. We're connected with our ancestry. And this is when we may really meet our spirit guides, especially if they are ancestors that have passed on and they're our spirit guides. This is where we can really connect with our inner parts. And it's just a gift when you can meditate that easily and go into that private space because the moon is there, and instinctively we're able to, it's almost like magic, able to connect with our ancestry, able to connect with the spirit world. It really is a gift to have your moon on the IC because it's like a private connection just between you and the universe where you're able to hear for yourself. It's not, you don't have the noise coming in from the other angles. It's like it can be a quiet place where you can reflect, where you can meditate, where you can meet with your spirit guides, where you can meet the angels that surround you, where you can really commune with the universe. And it is a beautiful spiritual placement for the moon. Okay, let's get to the signs, everybody. As we go through the signs, so remember that this could mean if you have an abundance of that sign in your chart, if your ascendant or moon especially is in a sign, but any planet in the signs has the possibility to endow these gifts in your natal chart. So let's get started with Aries. Aries, you are the spiritual pioneer that has no fear. Truly, Aries was the first. And in esoteric astrology, Aries was the sign most loved by God because they were the first. So they are the pioneers in all things spiritual. They're the ones that make the discoveries, that go in and find out the new things, that get the downloads. The Aries rules the eyes, and I think they have the gift of second sight. They're able to see into things, in situations, into the spiritual realms. I think Aries would be great as a ghost hunter, going into those situations where they don't know what to expect. They would have no fear. I would definitely want Aries on the case if I needed a ghost hunter. But Aries might have indeed been the person that invented that electronic meter that you use when you go in to detect spiritual activity. But I think that is their gift. They are the spiritual pioneers and they're fearless. Okay, let's go on to the sign of Taurus. Taurus, you are the earth angels. You are the earth goddesses. As a fixed earth sign, you are the sign that's closest to the earth, and you have a great understanding of herbs and plants and how to heal with herbs and plants. I think that you have a closeness and a great understanding of crystals and how crystals that come from the earth, those stones, can bring healing and health to people. Also, you're the most secure, grounded sign. So there's a certain security and love that you feel when you're in Taurus energy. You feel safe, you feel grounded. So they definitely have the gift of understanding the earth. And Taurus also rules food. So they make amazing chefs. And I think that's a really cool gift too. Okay, let's go to Gemini. Gemini, you are the spiritual messengers of the zodiac. You are the gatherers of knowledge. Yes, Gemini does have the gift of socializing, the gift of gab, but that's not all. They will take any spiritual subject, whether it be mediumship, astrology, Reiki, and they will go down the rabbit hole and get every bit of knowledge that they can. They want to learn every single thing about everything, and then they share their knowledge. They share their spiritual knowledge. They're truly a spiritual messenger, and they will anything that they get their spiritual hands on, they're going to learn everything they can about it. And another thing about Gemini is their acceptance. I personally think that Gemini is probably the least judgmental sign, and I think that is a gift as well. So Cancers, you are the lunar light of the zodiac. So you're ruled by the moon, and you're definitely intuitive. You're very sensitive to the world around you. But some people consider Cancers too sensitive. No, not at all. Cancers are strong. They are a strong cardinal sign. And when it comes to home and family, there is nothing they won't do to protect their home and their family. But if you have a lot of Cancer in your chart, the moon in Cancer, if you were even born at night or you have Cancer rising, follow the moon cycles. This is a way to use that lunar energy to help you, because especially if you have the moon in Cancer, as the moon changes signs, it kind of changes your mood and what you want to do. So use that lunar energy to your advantage. I recently found out that I sleep better during a balsamic moon. Just following the moon cycles can be perfect if you have a lot of Cancer in your chart. But Cancer energy just knows things, especially regarding family and those close around them. So many of them are blessed with the gift of claircognizance. I think that's what it is, when you just know things. And they're also the mother figure of the zodiac. They are the nurturer. So that is the gifts for Cancer. Let's move on to Leo. Oh, I can't forget Leo. Okay, so this is a fixed fire sign. Leo definitely has the gift of loyalty and warmth. I call them the royal and the loyal because they are super tenacious. Leo usually gets what it wants. Extremely creative energy. This is a sign that can take nothing and turn it into something. That's how creative they are. They are gifted with the gift of being a child. You know, Leo energy can be really childlike, and they get along well with children. And sometimes it's that energy that we just crave being around. We just want to be around them. But as a spiritual gift, I think their tenacity, their warmth, like the sun, their creativity, and they receive gifts from the universe. They're very good at following their hunches. Leos are quite lucky. And I think that's because they get these signals from the universe and they know how to follow the signals that they get. And that's why Leos can be so lucky. But they're definitely the royal and the loyal. All right. Next, we have the sign of Virgo. I call Virgo the healing helper because Virgos are the caregivers of the zodiac. They're the healers in the zodiac. Virgos actually carry healing in their hands. They are great with Reiki. They're great with massage therapy. And Virgos also have the gift of discretion. They are able to discern the energy around them. They're great energy healers. Of course, they are amazing healthcare workers, but they're also great with animals. And I personally know Virgos that can read the thoughts of animals. They're actually able to communicate on a psychic level with their pets, which is quite amazing, I think, and a beautiful gift to have. Okay, let's move on to Libra. I call Libra the great balancer, the great bringer of justice. This cardinal air sign, they are symbolized by the scales. And Libra, absolutely, you hear me say this all the time. They want harmony and they want balance. But most of all, a Libra wants justice. They are the sign of justice. And Libra wants things to be right. That is a spiritual gift because they have a lot of integrity. They want things to be right in the world. And Libra, more than any other sign, has an understanding of the masculine and the feminine. It doesn't matter if they are male or female. They have that understanding of both. They have an amazing gift for understanding emotions, and they may be telepathic with their partner or their family members. They may actually be able to share thoughts telepathically. So that is our Libra, our great balancer. So everybody, if you want to know more about your sign or your house placements or your natal chart, where your gifts are, please be sure to book a reading and we'll discover every gift in your chart. You can see how to book in the notes below. And let's go on to the sign of Scorpio. So Scorpio is the great secret holder. Now, Scorpio is probably the most secretive sign in the zodiac, but I'll tell you what, you may not know their secrets, but they will dig to the depths to find out your secrets. They will go to great lengths to find out whatever there is to know on whatever subject they're looking at. And this includes spiritual gifts. They have the gift of mediumship. Many Scorpios have that gift. They're actually able to connect with that Plutonian side. They're not afraid of anything that's in the occult, meaning they would go into subjects like witchcraft, demonology, some subjects that other people are afraid to touch on a spiritual level. They're not afraid to go there. They want to find out the secrets of the universe, and they especially want to find out the dark things. So Scorpio might work dark magic or maybe not, but I think that Scorpio is magical because they are able to approach subjects that other people aren't. Scorpios can be some of the greatest counselors because they're not afraid to hear the dirty stuff. They're not afraid of subjects that other people might cringe at. So, it's funny because Scorpio actually rules the organs that excrete things, that take the waste from our body. And that's what they do. They go in and they find out what is the waste. What do we want to get rid of? It's ruled by Pluto. It's about transformation. So they can go in, they dig deep, they learn the secret. Scorpio can transform someone's lives just by going in and discovering the secrets, bringing them to light, bringing that transformation that people need. I think Scorpio is fearless when it comes to things of the occult in a different way than Aries. It's not like they're the pioneer, but they're the ones that will bring that transformation. So let's move on to Sagittarius. So Sagittarians are the searchers of truth. ruled by Jupiter. They are expansive, they are optimistic for the most part, and that is one of their gifts, the gift of optimism. And another thing that Sagittarians will do is they will take any situation that's given them, good, bad, and ugly, and they will try to find the truth in it. They will try to find what is it that this taught me? What lesson did I learn from what just happened? And that's a gift. Being able to take negative situations and see what we learn from them is really a gift. But they're the searchers for truth. They want to understand how the universe works. What is their place in the universe? How does it work for them? And a lot of Sagittarians are able to astral travel. The ninth house is the sign of other countries, faraway places ruled by Sagittarius. And I think that many Sagittarius are able to astral travel or go there in their dreams, but they want to know the truth, how the universe truly works and what their place is in it. And I think many of them on their journey for truth, they do receive downloads from spirit. They receive messages from the universe and their guides, but mostly it's like they're the alchemist. They rule the temperance card in the tarot. So they're able to turn the lead into gold, to take situations and see what they can learn from them. What is the truth of the situation, no matter how negative it can be? And that's truly a gift. All right, let's go on to Capricorn. So, Capricorn, you are the spiritual builder. You take the truths that come from Sagittarius and you build on them to help the people around you. Capricorn rules that very public 10th house, and they're there to help everybody build their spiritual wealth, to build their spiritual empire. And Capricorns are a lot different than people sometimes perceive them to be, because not only are they the goat climbing the mountain, they are the sea goat. And the sea goat has its tail in the waters of humanity. And in that manner, Capricorn not only succeeds spiritually, but they're able to help others in a spiritual way and help others develop their spiritual gifts. Capricorn too is being an earth sign, is very connected to the earth, and they get messages and sometimes in an emotional way. They may feel things in their body. They may be able to discern things. Capricorn doesn't discern things in the same way that Virgo does, but they're able to discern what's going to work for them or for someone else. It's like Capricorn can discern whether a deal is good or if it's dirty, or the person that's doing the deal is dirty. They have that gift of discernment, and they want to help others build themselves spiritually as well. And those are the gifts of our Capricorns. Okay, let's move on to Aquarius. Oh my goodness. So the spiritual innovator is Aquarius. Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, is quite innovative. And we've talked about Uranus a lot during this series. And Uranus truly brings in gifts, and they come in suddenly sometimes. But Aquarians, it's like they have those antennas up and they can hear things coming in from the universe. It's like they come in as thoughts sometimes. Sometimes they come in as feelings, or they hear the messages. Aquarians are quite visionary. They really are. They are innovative. They come up with different ways to use our spiritual gifts. Quite honestly, we're in the age of Aquarius now, and it's so very different from the age of Pisces. Not that it's better, but definitely different. So Aquarians are ahead of their time many times. They're way ahead of the rest of us. I think this is a sign that believes in the Palladians and the star seeds. They believe in messages from other planets and other species. And I think they receive these messages quite often. You know, you can call them aliens. I don't know what you would call what you want to call them, but I do believe that Aquarius has the gift of being in contact with people or beings from other planets. And those are the gifts of Aquarius. They are definitely the innovators of the zodiac. And last but never least, Pisces. You are the spiritual empaths of the zodiac. Truly, to be around a Pisces is a gift because they are so sensitive and they are so compassionate. They are truly empathic. And I think this can be hard for a Pisces sometimes because they really do feel other people's feelings, feel the pain of other people. They're usually very sympathetic and compassionate to whoever they meet. They want to help heal the universe on a global level. You know, Neptune has no boundaries, and Pisces is ruled by Neptune. So they use this sympathy and empathy to do things that are charitable to heal the world. Now, I know that Aquarius is known as the humanitarian, but I think Pisces does just as much to heal people with their compassion and their empathy. And they can, it's almost like they may not be able to read people's thoughts as much as some of the other signs, but they're able to feel what other people feel. And when they feel these feelings, they have an understanding of what's going on in someone's life. And then they're able to go in with that sympathy and bring healing. So they are the spiritual healers and empaths of the zodiac. I hope everybody enjoyed this spiritual gift video. And until next time, bye from Florida.